you started getting involved with profit share. And that involvement with profit share, was that by virtue of, did it happen organically, or did you take it on as a mission to start growing it?
Okay. Well, I joined Keller Williams in September of 1997. So I think this is like my 24th year here at Keller Williams. So just got done going to my 24th family reunion, although that was digitally, right? So yeah, pretty cool. So, for me, so when I had left my old company, that at that particular point, I had been the #1 agent in the country for that company. When I joined Keller Williams, it created a little bit of a buzz, I would say, and so it definitely opened some doors for me to make some phone calls to some of my buddies and peers and tell them what I had done. And that's really sort of how it started in the beginning, when we, Barry Kramer, Scott Agnew, and I started the Ahwatukee Market Center back then. And then there was another gentleman who was actually my partner when Gary Keller gave me an opportunity to buy the Northwest region in 1998, Rob Flick. Rob Flick is actually who recruited me to the company from my old company, Realty Executives. And so I'm actually in his profit sharing tree, so that's sort of how it started, and I always tell people too, I say, people are like, oh, well, it's easy for you, Mike, because, you were who you were and everybody knew you and stuff. And I said, that definitely opened some doors for me. But the thing was too, it's all about sharing the story. And if you're proud of the company that you work for, and it's easy to talk about that company, and it's not really about the profit sharing, it's about the coaching, the teaching, the training, to becoming a better agent, the foundation that Keller Williams offers, and the profit sharing, just like Gary always said, it's just like the cherry on top of the sundae. It's just a big bonus. I personally never ever thought that it would be that big a deal to me. In fact, when I joined the company, I told them, I said, hey, I'm not going to be bugging all my buddies that, to join Keller Williams and stuff. I just want to do my business. I wanted to be a partner in the market center and start the market center, because that was always my passion, was to own my own brokerage at one time. And Keller Williams made that opportunity, for me. But it just sort of happened. And then when it happens, it sort of grows. Sure. And so it was an exciting thing.
So you sort of took one of my initial questions, which was, somebody says, look, Mike's been in a long time. He's been really successful. He already had a following. I'm not as handsome as Mike. What do I do to get started in this mix? And can you sort of talk a little bit about, because that, your initial piece was more about, it kind of grew organically for you, right? Because you had a name, you knew a number of people. Was there ever a point where you felt like you stepped outside of that box and made it a proactive part of your career, meaning not career, but your, I guess your weekly activities? Was there ever?
Yeah, okay. I mean, it was always on my 411.
Really?
It was always part of my goals every year, was to recruit so many people, to the company. But I was always looking for talent, and back in those days, I had a very large team too. So it also opened the door to recruit people to be on my team, and a lot of those people that are no longer on my team are still with Keller Williams and are out there recruiting people too, so it was always one of my goals. It was always part of my 411. It was always, part of the, I wouldn't say maybe it was a daily thing, but it was definitely my weekly and my monthly goals and my annual goals to add to my profit sharing tree.
Mm-hmm. So just making part of a weekly, weekly and monthly a task for you.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another thing too, Aaron, people say, will say to me, well, my gosh, you can call anybody and do it. And absolutely, I can, but so can you. And I always tell people, you never know who you're going to recruit. You never know what that person is going to do. So you may recruit somebody who's not that big a producer, but then they go out and become a massive fan of Keller Williams and recruit people to the company. So you never really know. In the beginning, when I recruited Steve Chater to the company, and Steve and I talked, and basically it was, hey, well, if Keller Williams was good enough for you, Mike, you must have saw something. I'm looking for a change too. It's good enough for me. And who would have thunk that Steve would have gone on to open 3 or 4 market centers, recruited the #1 recruiting lady, Linda Bechtel from Coldwell Banker, who then grew all his market centers, became his team leader, and then she went on to own more market centers, and now her daughters own the one in Chandler that we just actually did the merger with.
Sure.
So you never know how it works. Tom Wood, same thing. Tom opened multiple market centers on the west side.
Sure. Sure. Mm-hmm. So I think your initial comment, which you were talking about, the number of people came to it because of your association, affiliation, and your pride associated with Keller Williams, also speaks to, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm understanding after speaking with people like EJ and others who are big proponents of getting involved with profit share is that it's almost more about your breadth initially than the depth. Mm-hmm. The breadth meaning growing your first line and supporting your first line, and they will then grow your downline. Mm-hmm. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, well, you got to start somewhere, right? So the very first person you recruit is going to be obviously in your first level, right? And so the wider you can grow that, I think Mo Anderson says, your goal should be to recruit 15 people on your first level. Mm-hmm. I think right now, I looked it up. I actually have 23 people on my first level. Mm-hmm. Now I've had more, people come, people go, people change, people retire. So things happen. So it's good to keep adding to that level, but, and to answer your one question, absolutely. I always was there for all my people. And I was there for people who were not even in my profit sharing tree. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you in the beginning, Aaron, how many phone calls I made for other people who were not in my profit sharing tree just to help them recruit somebody to the company because they wanted to talk to me about what I was doing, and I was fortunate enough to be in, Gary's book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And so a lot of agents wanted to talk to me about that too. And then that just sort of opened the conversation to joining Keller Williams too.
So to that point, as I look down the list of people who've been really successful within our market center, I can see that, is it true that Kirk Miles was on your team mm-hmm. at some point?
Yeah.
Geez, he's number 3 in our market center in terms of profit share. I wonder why, and he's not even involved anymore, is he?
No, Kirk's basically retired. I talked to him yesterday. He's skiing in Colorado right now.
Yeah, but isn't that a beautiful thing? The guy's not involved anymore, but it speaks to helping, who's next down in your list mm-hmm. to move it forward. So that's really exciting. Just to give people a perspective in terms of, and well, maybe personal, it's also public as well within the system.
Yeah.
What are we talking about in terms of the amount of profit share that you bring in per annum?
Well, this year it was down a little bit from last year with the pandemic and stuff. We had a few tough months, but then we picked up a lot of volume towards the end of the year. This year, I profit shared $163,000.
That's amazing.
So it's serious money. The most I've ever done in one calendar year is $230,000.
Wow.
I think right now in my profit sharing tree, I've got 2,600 people in my profit sharing tree.
Nice. And a lot of that started with the foundation of your first level people who just grew it naturally, right? So you have to have enough people within your first level because you're going to have normal attrition, right? People are going to come, they're going to go, and
Right.
certain people
Exactly.
stay with the business.
Right. It's interesting. So like, I pulled up the stats. So basically I have 23 people in my first level, but I have 760 people in my seventh level.
Which is, yeah, first level and seventh is I can't remember the in terms of the greatest paying based on level, but first and seventh is in there.
Right. It's I think it's 12 and a half on the seventh level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Pretty amazing. So I guess kind of circling back to one of the same questions I had from the beginning is, let's just say, Mike, somebody like myself who's been with Keller Williams for 7 years and focused more on building my business than I have with profit share. What types of things can I do on a proactive basis outside of sticking on my 411? What can I do on a proactive basis to say, look, I want to get involved. I want to be a part of this thing. And what would you say, two-part question, what would you say to those who say, well, it's too late. Mike's been involved with this for that many years. And so, what do you think I can do, given the fact that, I don't have the tenure that Mike has to get involved with profit share?
Well, I think, it's all about sharing the story, right? So 3 things need to happen to get profit sharing. Okay. 1, you have to recruit somebody to the company. So that's the first step. You have to share the story. And 2, they have to be a productive real estate agent. So you recruit somebody and they never sell a house, you're never going to see any profit sharing. And 3, the thing that drives our company is the market center, right? So the market center has to be profitable. So those 3 things have to happen. 1, you recruit somebody to the company. 2, they're a productive real estate agent. And 3, the market center is profitable anywhere in the country and you receive profit sharing. So I have people in my profit sharing tree that are in Mississippi, that are in Massachusetts, Louisiana, Washington, Oregon, Idaho. I mean, all over the place. And, I'll look at my profit sharing report when I get it and see, all the people who had contributed that month in profitable market centers. And it's amazing. I'll see people from different states. I even get some international profit sharing too now. So it's sort of amazing to look at that and see it, how it grows. So I think it just becomes a focus. It becomes, like I say, part of your 411. It becomes something that you want to do. It's almost like part of your prospecting, right? So if you really, I think, I forget the kid's name. I think he's in Texas. I know Aaron, who teaches a lot of the, Aaron Kaufman, who teaches a lot of the profit sharing classes, that you can also go onto Facebook and become part of his Facebook group. And I would suggest, if people in the ALC are not part of that, that they become part of that, because there's a lot of good information there. Linda McKissick, then I've taken her course. She teaches a great course. It's not very expensive. I think it's like $100 or something. And it's like, is
it profit share focused?
Yeah, it's all about profit sharing. Okay. It's actually about starting and growing your profit sharing tree. And I actually took the course about 6 months ago, because I felt like I needed to sort of reinvigorate my tree and sort of put some more focus on that. And so I've actually gone back now and sort of outlined everybody who's in my profit sharing tree, and you can go on, through KW Command and connect, and you can see everybody on your levels, where they're at. You can get their phone numbers, and you can actually be proactive and make a phone call and say, hey, is there anything I can do to help you grow your profit sharing tree? Because by doing that, it helps me too. It helps them, it helps me, it helps the company.
Indeed. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's
great class for everybody, maybe on the ALC, to take Linda McKissick's profit sharing class. Her son, Preston, I think it's Preston McKissick. He does a lot of that. So, I know I'm friends with him on Facebook, but you could look him up too. And maybe we could actually set something up where Linda taught something to the Market Center and or to the ALC.
That'd be phenomenal. Thank you.
Yeah.
So let's just dive one layer deeper on that topic. So if you were, to an agents here that are productive, right? So one of your comments there and the connection, sorry, the three tactics here, are the three things you need to embrace in terms of the profit share. And one of them, when you recruit agents, it's also recruiting productive agents. So in a situation like myself, right, where we do a number of cross deals with agents, those agents, well, many, maybe not all, but many of them are going to be productive agents.
Mm-hmm.
And in our market now, where it's very pervasive with EXP recruitment, I think EXP, but Keller Williams maybe used to be known as, hey, they're the ones always trying to recruit people in it because profit share, but EXP is crazy about it, right? And let's just leave their story aside. But from a KW perspective, what would you say to agents within our market centers? What would that call look like if you were going to call a cross agent on a deal and try to bring them into the KW layer? What would you do, or what would the conversation be?
I think part of that conversation is, maybe you invite them to one of our training sessions. Unfortunately, didn't have family reunion, but our big events too, mega camp, family reunion, some of the other events that we have, invite them. Or if there's going to be a local training that maybe the region is running, to invite them to that so they can sort of get a perspective and an idea of what Keller Williams has to offer, and then I think the conversation is too, it's like, hey, how's your business going? How are you doing? What are you getting from your company? Would you be interested in hearing what we offer at Keller Williams to maybe enhance your productivity and your growth? So you can take your production from selling 20, 25, 30 houses a year to 60, 70, 80, 100 homes a year. Would that be of interest to you?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. Thank you. I think that's, especially after looking at the digital experience with Family Reunion, I all sorts of little nuggets you always pick up from Family Reunion. I was actually impressed that even through the breakout sessions, the way they did it, I think there was even a section in there on profit share this year. So,
yeah.
So I wanted to make this a brief call. It wasn't intended to be a long one, but to extract as many little nuggets as I could. Is there anything else you can think of just in terms of parting words that you think would be important to agents within this market center?
Yeah, I would tell people that, like I said to you earlier, in the beginning, it was never really a focus of mine. And then when it started happening, and then it wasn't necessarily me, recruiting people to the company, it was me just sort of sharing our story, our story about education, our story about training, our story about growth, and just that it was a fun company, and people really were interested in you as an agent and as a person, to help you grow your business. And I would just tell people it's real. I mean, when it happens, it's real. And I was looking. So I've been doing this now, since 1997, and in the beginning, I would say to people out there too, Aaron, it's easier now than it was then, because almost all of our market centers are profitable. In the very beginning, market centers weren't necessarily that profitable. It took a while for Keller Williams to get to, that momentum and where it was going, So, so I would tell people now, I mean, you recruit somebody to an office now anywhere in the country, and they go out and sell a home, you're more than likely going to receive profit sharing the next month because that office is profitable,
Indeed.
I mean, it is real money. I mean, I looked over my lifetime with Keller Williams. I've received $2.15 million in profit sharing.
Sorry, what is that tenure again? What is that?
I've received $2,156,000 in profit sharing over the lifetime of my being with Keller Williams.
And what is that in terms of total number of years again?
Been now with them 24 years. So I started in 1997, but I probably never really received a significant profit sharing check until probably 2001 and 2, because it took a while to grow. But so I'm, it was definitely a focus. It's definitely paid dividends, and been able to do a lot of good things with that money.
I think there's a number of people out there would be happy with a fraction of that as part of their retirement income. So,
that's what I tell people. It is real. It is real. It's turned out to be a little better than Social Security for me.
Mike, look, thank you so much for taking time to speak with me. We're going to sort of incorporate this with some other interviews, and hopefully we can share some of the message.
Yeah. Hey, my pleasure, Aaron. And like I say, if you've got anybody you want me to talk to on your behalf, or anybody in the Market Center, I'm more than happy to help them grow their profit sharing tree also.
Excellent. Thanks, okay. Mike. We'll see you soon.
All right. Talk to you soon. Thanks, Aaron.
Right,
bye.
yeah.